The studio was tense, the air buzzing with anticipation. Ivanka Trump leaned forward, her words polished and rehearsed, defending her father's legacy with the calm assurance of someone used to the spotlight. But just as she tried to wrap her argument in a veil of dignity, Jasmine Crockett's voice cut through like a blade. "Don't you dare rewrite history, Ivanka. We all watched what happened, and no amount of charm or privilege will erase the truth." The room froze. The audience gasped. For a split second, the cameras seemed to tremble, as if the moment itself was too heavy to contain. Crockett's words hit with the force of a gavel slamming down, and before Ivanka could even blink, the clip was already racing across social media. Within seconds, hashtags exploded, millions sharing the 10-second exchange that shredded through the polished facade Ivanka had tried to build. Viewers weren't just watching, they were reacting, stitching, reposting, and amplifying the sting of Crockett's reply. What had started as a controlled appearance turned into a viral eruption, a digital wildfire that Ivanka could not contain. The setting was a high-profile televised forum marketed as a conversation about truth and leadership in America. The producers knew controversy drew ratings, and they stacked the stage with names guaranteed to spark fireworks. At the center sat Ivanka Trump, carefully chosen to represent her family's brand of elegance and influence. Dressed in calm neutrality, she projected the image of grace under fire. Across from her sat Representative Jasmine Crockett, known for her sharp tongue and unapologetic delivery. She wasn't there to play safe, and everyone in the room knew it. The audience was split. Some cheered Ivanka's presence, hoping for a polished defense of the Trump legacy, while others leaned forward, waiting for Crockett to pierce the shield of privilege. Ivanka began softly, reminding viewers of her father's accomplishments, painting a picture of stability and resilience. She spoke of family values, economic achievements, and the sacrifices made by the Trumps. Each word was chosen to sound noble, to distance herself from scandals and turn focus back to what she called real results. But the tension rose quickly. Crockett's eyes locked on her, unflinching, refusing to let the narrative glide by untouched. The moderator sensed the storm brewing, giving Ivanka room to finish, but also knowing Crockett's rebuttal was coming. The cameras panned to the audience, half nodding along with Ivanka, half rolling their eyes, waiting for the strike. Social media was already buzzing. Clips of Ivanka walking on stage, her confident smile, her opening remarks, were being dissected in real time. Supporters framed her as a calm, steady presence. Critics called it damage control. Commentators on rival networks prepped live reactions, ready to seize on any crack in her defense. And then the moderator turned to Jasmine Crockett. The audience hushed. The stage was set for the clash no one could ignore. Jasmine Crockett leaned into the microphone, her voice steady but edged with fire. "Ivanka, you speak of sacrifice as if the American people should thank your family for the chaos we endured. Let's not pretend the Trumps gave anything up. They took, they manipulated, and they cashed in." Ivanka tried to keep her composure, forcing a calm smile. "That's simply not true. My father worked tirelessly, and our family—" Crockett cut her off, the interruption sharp enough to draw murmurs from the crowd. "Tirelessly? Tell that to the businesses left bankrupt. Tell that to the families who lost loved ones while your father downplayed a pandemic. You want to talk about work? The American people were the ones working, scraping, and suffering while you and your circle hid behind privilege." The moderator attempted to step in, but the momentum was unstoppable. The audience erupted, some applauding Crockett's ferocity, others booing, clearly shaken by the raw confrontation. Ivanka's tone hardened. "You're twisting reality. My father inspired millions, and no matter how much you shout, that truth doesn't change." Crockett's reply was immediate, her words precise and heavy. "Inspired? Or exploited? Because millions inspired by a lie doesn't make it truth, it makes it a tragedy." The studio was electric. Journalists scribbled furiously, already imagining tomorrow's headlines. Clips of Crockett's words flew online within seconds, spliced, captioned, and weaponized across platforms. Supporters hailed her as fearless, while Trump loyalists fumed, calling it an ambush. But Crockett pressed harder. "Every time you stand here and try to clean the mess, remember, you don't speak for the people. You speak for power. And power has a cost, Ivanka. One your family never paid." The words landed like a hammer. Ivanka's eyes flashed, her polished calm starting to crack under the relentless assault. The silence between Ivanka and Crockett lasted only a breath, but it felt like an eternity. Ivanka straightened her posture, ready to strike back, her voice laced with a practiced firmness. "Representative Crockett, it's easy to throw stones from the sidelines, but leadership requires grace, vision, and the ability to rise above insults. My family has carried more weight than you can imagine, and history will remember us differently than your partisan attacks suggest." A ripple of applause came from the Trump loyalists in the room, but it was quickly drowned by Crockett's answer, delivered with surgical precision. "History?" she said, her tone rising into steel. "History will remember your family for cages, for corruption, for chaos. And Ivanka, when you talk about grace, grace doesn't mean covering up lies. Grace doesn't mean smiling while people bleed. Grace means accountability. And if you don't understand that, then you don't belong in the conversation about leadership." The studio exploded. Gasps, shouts, applause, every reaction collided into a storm. The moderator's attempts to regain control failed as the audience surged with energy. Ivanka opened her mouth to respond, but Crockett delivered the final blow, the words that would travel across every corner of the internet within minutes. "You can buy influence. You can inherit privilege, but you cannot purchase integrity. And integrity, Ivanka, is the one thing your family never had." The line detonated. Phones lit up instantly, streams of posts declaring it the knockout punch of the night. Clips spread with captions like "Crockett ends Ivanka," and the moment the room shattered. Even rival politicians who usually avoided direct praise jumped online to echo Crockett's words. Meanwhile, Ivanka's silence in that split second, her hesitation, her inability to counter, became the image burned into the public's memory. The climax wasn't just a single phrase. It was a collapse of the facade, a public unraveling of the untouchable Trump image in real time. The dust in the studio hadn't even settled when the viral wave became unstoppable. Crockett's final line was clipped, subtitled, remixed into countless posts across TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. Within an hour, her words had been viewed millions of times, echoing far beyond the walls of that broadcast. Commentators declared it the defining moment of the debate. Headlines screamed that Ivanka had been dismantled on live television. Talk shows replayed the clash on a loop, and panelists leaned in to analyze every syllable, every pause, every flicker of Ivanka's stunned silence. For supporters of Jasmine Crockett, it was proof that truth could still cut through privilege, that one voice armed with facts and courage could shake even the most polished political dynasty. For Trump loyalists, it was a nightmare, a viral humiliation that no spin could undo. And for Ivanka herself, the damage was immediate. No carefully scripted interview, no glossy magazine cover, no rehearsed speech could erase the image of her standing frozen, unable to respond as Crockett's words thundered through the nation. In living rooms, classrooms, and offices, people repeated the line as if it were a rallying cry. "You cannot purchase integrity." It became more than a moment. It became a verdict. The final message was unmistakable. In the battle between inherited power and unflinching truth, the spectacle revealed a shift. Audiences weren't satisfied with polished performances anymore. They wanted fire. They wanted confrontation. They wanted accountability. Jasmine Crockett gave them all three in a single reply that would be remembered long after the cameras switched off.